Hello viewers, welcome again to Discovering Truth, and I am Pastor Forbes from The Gateway, Abiding Word Ministries here in the Gambia. We are going to continue our series we started last week entitled Self-Improvement, Living Life on Full Throttle. Self-Improvement, Living Life on Full Throttle. Basically, I am sharing the things I think that can help us all live life on the cutting edge. Because we all want to be the best. It's possible. The people who are the best in the world don't have 3 heads, they don't have 5 mouths, they don't have 14 eyes. They are just like us. But there are certain things that people do that make them live on the cutting edge, that bring them into self-improvement. And I also want to say that self-improvement is not an end, it's a continuous improvement. Because as they say in English, the day you stop learning is when you start dying. So we looked last week at a story concerning 2 people, a king who had intruded into a wrong function or office, went against what God said, and God punished him, stripped the kingdom from his heart, and the protection of God, the hedge of protection and covering, God removed him, and harassing spirits, distressing mindsets, and no peace was coming to him. And when it happened to him, he was really out of control, enraged, and we'll find out later in our discussion that there are times he'll even take a javelin or a sword and throw it towards the person that was trying to help him, telling you that he was not really in control himself. And yes, there are spirits like that, by the way. They should not be trivialized. They are there. So because this king had now lost favor with God, King Saul, because he intruded into a spiritual office he had no business doing, he incurred the wrath of God. And God said, I have taken the kingdom away from you, and I'm going to give it to somebody just like you, but that person is going to be a person after my own heart. He will do the things that I want to do. So as Saul started going through this real bad demonic oppression in his life, his men came together and said, Sir, music can be a solution. Nice, cool, quiet, stringed music can be the tranquilizer to this problem. So permit us to scout throughout this kingdom of Israel to find somebody who will come and be like your residential minstrel, musician, or harpist, who whenever this thing happens will call him to play and calm you down. And maybe regularly he'll just be playing so that you are calm. The tension, the depression, the frustration, the obsession, the possession, the control of your mind will be eased. So he said, let them do. When he said that, there was one of his men that made a comment, and we've looked at that comment. I'm going to read it again because that's the foundation of this series entitled Self-Improvement, Living Life on Full Throttle. In 1 Samuel chapter 16 in the Old Testament, and I told you that is first book of Samuel, second book of Samuel. So we're looking at the first book of Samuel chapter 16. In verse 18 it says, after the king said, provide me now a man who can play well and bring him to me, that one of the servants answered and said, King, I have seen a son of Jesse. Jesse had about 7 or 8 boys. Said, there is this one boy. And at that time, David was the youngest. There is this one son of Jesse of Bethlehem. He is skillful in playing. He is a mighty man of valor. He is a man of war. He is prudent in speech. He is a handsome person. And the Lord God is with him. 6 things this man could write on his CV, and each of them was true. Therefore Saul sent messengers to Jesse and said, send me your son David, the one that is with the sheep. And if you interrogate the scriptures, you'll know that at least 2 or 3 of these 6 abilities, David grew and trained himself and developed himself in and improved himself in when he was taking care of his father's sheep. So Jesse, the father, took a donkey, loaded it with bread, wine, and sent the boy to the king. And it says, when David came before Saul, stood before him, Saul loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. And whenever the spirit distressed, frustrated, confused Saul, David would take a harp, play it with his hand, then Saul would become refreshed, restored, calmed, well, and the distressing spirit would depart from him. If we are going to consider your self-improvement, my self-improvement, our self-actualization, and just being the best in our personal development, we need to interrogate, how come this young man, and truth be told, David was under 20, because according to the Hebrew, Jewish, Israeli law, you had to be 21 years and above to be conscripted or enlisted into the army. So some of you know the story of David and Goliath the giant. David was not qualified by age to join the army to go and fight. His brothers who were older than him, who were 21 and above, could go to the army. He was under 21. In fact, some people say he was 17, 18. Why? So that's like lower 6th or grade 12, maybe grade 13. So how come at that young age he is able to do all these things and come into self-improvement to the point that the king is looking for a musician who can do this? And in the entire realm, for example, let's say the Gambia, 2.4 million, or let's even widen the net. Let's say the Federal Republic of Nigeria, about 220 million people. There is one person that stands out incontrovertibly. No favoritism, no nepotism, no tribalism, no religious, nothing, no games. We are looking for somebody who plays the harp well. There are a lot of them. But there's this one. He can do something. And they narrowed the search until it had to be him. Chances are there were other harpists there. Maybe they had 3 scales. Maybe they had 4. Maybe they had 5. Maybe there was somebody who was almost neck and neck with David, but then David had the edge. The Lord is with him. Let's look at these skills again. He's skillful in playing. He's not just playing what we call vamp. He's skillful. In other words, he's learned to read music, to score music. He knows how to use his fingers. You know, as I keep saying, I am a pianist myself. I'm trained. So whenever I see somebody playing a piano or a keyboard, particularly keyboard in bands, and he's using 2 or 3 fingers and shaking his head, and I keep saying, why are you using 3 fingers when God gave you 10? But if you are trained and you know how to play your scales, and to play your scales, the normal scales, the chromatic scales, then you know how to use 10 fingers and when to cross them for seamless moving. So David must have been trained. Secondly, it says he was a man of valor, good discretion, good ethics, virtue. It doesn't come just by it being jumped upon you, or maybe somebody just placed their hand upon you and said some things, or even some incantations, and you get it. No. For all these things, there are processes. Thirdly, he was a man of war. He had not yet joined the army, but he could fight. And we know the testimony of David was, from his own lips, he told the king, once I was taking care of my father's sheep, and at a point in time, a bear came and took one of the lambs. Another time, it was a lion came, and I ran after them. And you say, excuse me, a 17, 18-year-old boy drifting cars? He ran after a bear, ran after a lion. You don't run after bears and lions. You run away from them. But there was something about him. I need to account for this one. I need to account for this thing under me. So I'm going to make sure it's done well. I'm going to fight everything that wants me to be corrupt, wants me to bribe, wants me to change figures, wants me to bend the rules. No, I'm going to get that lamb out of the mouth of this bear. He said, I struck the bear and I killed him and I took it out. And having noticed him, a man of war. Number 4. He's prudent in speech. You know, ladies and gentlemen, whatever we do, we need to do well. We can't be excusing, well, it's not my mother tongue, it's the colonialist. Then let's change it from being the official language for business and communication in our country. Let's use another language. Hopefully we can develop it that it will have global appeal. So we'll have the Fuller word for gigabytes and the Mandinka word for artificial intelligence and the Aku word for space shuttle. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to take us a long time before the world will understand. So he learned the language. He was prudent in his Hebrew. He was a wise speaker. He knew how to talk diplomatically. He knew how to enamel people. He knew how to get them on his side. He was prudent. He knew what to say, what not to say, where to say it, if to say it, why to say it, and when to say it, or even to keep quiet. He was prudent in speech. Young people, you are 17, 18. Are you prudent in speech, or your whole life is on social media? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Are you prudent in speech? You know, in my days, oral English was almost the first thing you did for your O-level exam. I did my O-levels, by the way, in 1981. That's 44 years ago, thereabout. Or 50 years. Oral English, how you speak. Because we all admire it. Whether it's English or French, whatever. When we have joint communiques, and when we look at conferences and you find how MCs talk or rapporteurs talk, you know, the person reading the joint communique, you feel well. Because they're like a David. They're prudent in speech. They're also handsome. So they take their time to do good grooming. They don't just say, "Na so atan when I left me, manila my alabine." No, they talk well, they chew well, they organize themselves well. And finally, the capping of it all, the Lord is with him. That must have brought peace to the king's heart. That this person we are bringing is not just playing music. It's not just that he can speak well. It's not just he can fight. When God is with you, it tempers everything into its proper packaging, compartmentalized understanding. So how does this happen? I have about 6 or 7 points I want to share, and I'll maybe do point 1 and 2, and then move on next week. The first, ladies and gentlemen, and maybe this should go more to our young people, they're about leaving school. Maybe you've done your IGCSE, or you're doing your A-levels or AS, or you finish grade 12, you finish some mentorship, some professional course or something. Maybe you've just graduated from UTG. Congratulations for all of you. For all of you graduated. If you're going to add value, so let's call these 6 qualifications, 6 degrees. You look at the CV and you are impressed. You write to his 2 referees. They tell you, look, it's even more than 6. This guy, he's like a genius. When you look through each of these 6 abilities, number 1 thing I believe you are going to find is a sense of determination. So you want to self-improve, you want to self-actualize, you want personal development where you max out your abilities, you have to be a determined person. Ladies and gentlemen, a determined person is somebody who is ready to do all it takes, because a determined person never makes excuses. But even in America, I hear that phrase sometimes on radio, comparatively to West Africa, we are this. And as long as you have that mindset, you will never actualize to the top. I've always said this. I used to have this altercation with my daughter when her grades come, and maybe they're in the 60s, and I say, Jilan, you need to do well. Say, but Daddy, I was above the class average. And I would tell her, we never sent you to school for class average. Because once you keep class average, you'll be satisfied with, I had 60 and I passed. But if you have a sense of determination and you open no door in your life for excuses, permit me, I call it excusiology. It's like a course, ology, the study of the knowledge of excuses. No. Determination. I can break this barrier. I can shatter this ceiling. I'm going to do what it takes for it to be done, because other people have done it. I can do it. Pastor Forbes says the people who do it do not have 5 heads, they don't have 14 mouths, they don't have 3 noses, they don't have 4 eyes. They are people just like you. If they can do it, I'm going to do it. I am determined. Ladies and gentlemen, there can be no self-improvement, no self-actualization. You can't live on the competitive edge. Neither can you operate in full throttle if you have excuses for everything. You might have reasons, but reasons should not be excuses. Again, to our good old English language, necessity is the mother of invention. If it's pinching you, you will look for how to do something. You'll have it. Coming back to English, wherever there is a will, there is a way. Sometimes you see, and I'm not endorsing this, sometimes you see the way some criminals escape from jail. You got to clap for them. A lot of us have watched the movie, The Shawshank Redemption, Alcatraz, and you mean it? Or sometimes you watch this heist, diamond heist, gold heist, that the way these people, they plan to rob the diamonds of London or something. You got to clap for what they did. Because where there is a will, there is a way. I'm not endorsing it, of course. I am not in any way. But I'm just saying that if you and I have a sense of determination, there are very few things that debar us from success. But if we accept it, and we say this is what the country is like, Gambia do them kanam, we always hear that. Africa is cursed, we hear that. The black man is cursed, we hear that. But we know that's not true. Because there are Gambians, Africans, black people globally doing phenomenal things. And they have not lost their nationality or their color. There is a verse in the Bible that goes like this. Have you seen somebody who is diligent and focused in his business? Such a person will stand before kings, and he will never stand before ordinary and obscure people. So determination. The first time David picked the harp, he must have said, oh, this thing is boring. It has maybe 12 strings and I don't even know how to hold it. This is not my thing. Let me just play with my catapult, Maybe he'll be cutting classes. Oh, the teacher has come again. He's a boring teacher. He's making me play things. I want to play jazz. I want to play rap. I want to play reggae. I don't like all the theory. Let's get down into the practice. I am a hands-on person. No. I just be determination. Today we are proud of doctors around the world. If the doctor just said, look, I just want to be hands-on, just show me how to cut the liver and show me how to switch off, I'm fine. I don't need to know the theory of how it happens. If blood comes out, we'll sellotape it. will super glue it. No. You find that there are certain courses that go on for years, and then specialization. And somebody becomes such a fine surgeon that maybe the way they cut is called the FORBES cut, the Jallo cut. It's unique to them. They've become a guru in it. Determination. How did he become a skillful, dexterous, professional player? Hours and hours of rehearsal, hours and hours of practice. Sometimes maybe even calluses on your fingers, because you are pressing strings and you are pulling strings, and and this is not like guitar where you can do that. It's not like keyboard where you can do that. Oh, let me even sing. Come on, playing a harp. It's so slow. The melody is maybe in the minor keys, not in the major keys. It sounds like a funeral more than a party. That big thing, you have to put it and be some no. Oh, it's even for women, it's not for men. Determination. And that's what David took. And that determination and mastery paid one day. That he was sitting wherever he was, taking care of his father's sheep. And they looked for him. They headhunted him. If he was going to be paid, he's going to be paid what the Gambia government used to call a personal to holder salary. Money that only he can get because of what he's bringing to the table. Because of him, the king's distress can be calmed. So even his personality tells you. Because if he's the jittery type, he will even aggravate the king's own aggravation. Determination. Skillful in playing, mighty man of valor. Wise discretion. Respect. Comportment. Dignity. These are not words you use for a 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old. It's like, oh my gosh, these teenagers, they're in their world. Troubled teens. Impossible teens. Banging the door. Dropping things on the floor. Answering their parents back. Doing all kinds of crazy things because of the hormones jumping up and down in their body. What about this teen? What about this young man? He was a mighty man of valor. Determination. He was a man of war. Determination. Prudent in speech. How do we say it? Is it development or development or development or development? How do we pronounce it? Sometimes you see adverts of maybe a breakfast cereal or an MC is going to open a conference. In his room, in the studio, he has practiced good morning, 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 everybody. And sometimes the producer or somebody is listening and is waiting for a particular pitch. And if they show you the number of rehearsals that this one person had just to say 2 words, good morning. Somebody will say, good morning, Bailenma, Landa, Alsama, Una good morning. Ndeo. No. Person just pitch a little bit. Good morning, no, good morning, good morning. Look, do it like this, good morning. And there are people who get frustrated. They walk out of that place, never ever actualizing and realizing their self-improvement because they were not determined enough. They had excusiology. They could give all kinds of excuses why they would never do it. And it became a stronghold, a mindset, a block in their lives. Not this young man. He learned the phonetics. He learned the diction, the voice undulation, everything, the phonics, everything, even if needs speech therapy. He went through it. You know, a movie came out maybe 7-8 years ago called The King's Speech. Would you put marbles in your mouth to learn to talk? Your friends would laugh at you. Or you'll just say, me, I don't know, I don't want to swallow the marble. You know, there are people who fail even before they start. They just say, I'm not going to do it. No. He had determination and he didn't make excuses. He was handsome. You know, when you become a teenager, things change in your body structure, the hormones, the estrogen, the progesterone, the testosterone. And sometimes that boy, that girl that look handsome as a baby, the face looks a bit contorted. For girls, it happens. And sometimes parents get worried. Is this my daughter? You know, let me tell you. It's as if because they are going through the transformation from childhood into womanhood and manhood. And sometimes even the facial expressions change. For him to be a handsome person, he had to go through the changes and the continuous working upon him for his grooming, determination, and no excuses. And finally, the Lord was with him. The Lord being with you is not an automatic. In the Bible, there is a book called James in the 4th chapter, chapter 4 and verse 7, and I'm beginning to end. It says, if you draw near to me, I will draw near to you. In all these 6 things that made David an easy pick without any competition, self-improvement, self-actualization, great personal development for him to be on full throttle and the competitive edge, there was a sense of determination and no excuses. If you do that, if I do that, we'll get these results. Let me stop here because my time is up. Until I come your way next week, by the grace of God, you're going to enjoy this series. May God keep us all, and also work on your own. Add another degree, add another training. Diversify your portfolio. You never know when a king may need you. Let's have a great time when we do part 3 next week. May God keep us all. Amen. Discover